Dear students, our today's lecture is devoted to the relationship of pedagogical psychology with other sciences. Of course, pedagogical psychology, first of all, is closely connected with the philosophy. And here we have to consider, first of all, philosophical foundations of pedagogy. So philosophy has long been concerned with questions related to education. Ancient philosophers like Plato and Aristotle developed into the nature of knowledge, ethics, and the best methods of educating citizens. Their ideas continue to influence educational philosophy and psychology even in our today's days. Next one is educational ethics. Both fields examine ethical issues in education. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant, they explored the moral principles that should guide educational practices. Educational psychologists often consider ethical concerns when designing educational interventions and assessing their impact. So, third, the nature of learning. Philosophers have offered questions about how humans learn and acquire knowledge for centuries. Educational psychologists such as John Piaget, Vygotsky have drawn on the philosophical ideas to develop theories of cognitive development and learning processes. Of course, we have to speak about epistemology of learning and philosophy of education. The last one explores the fundamental features of pedagogical psychology and the relationships of pedagogical psychology to social justice and the role of teachers and learners in this process.
So it becomes clear that pedagogical psychology is an interdisciplinary science that stands at the crossroads of several fields of knowledge. It studies the psychological principles of teaching and upbringing, helping to explain how learning occurs and how education can be made more effective. And this diagram shows the main sciences which pedagogical psychology is closely connected: psychology, educational science, sociology, and physiology. At the center of the scheme is pedagogical psychology, which serves as a bridge between the theoretical study of the human mind and the practical field of education. Let's take a closer look at each connection. The first connection is with psychology. Pedagogical psychology is a branch of psychology sharing its methods and general principles. It uses psychological concepts such as perception, memory, motivation, and personality development to explain how students learn. For example, understanding cognitive processes helps teachers to choose appropriate teaching methods and design tasks that match students' developmental levels. The second connection is with educational science or pedagogy. While pedagogy focuses on principles, aims, and methods of education, pedagogical psychology explains why these methods work from a psychological perspective. It provides the scientific foundation for pedagogical decisions, showing how students' mental, emotional, and social characteristics influence the learning process. This connection ensures that teaching methods are not only effective, but also psychologically appropriate. The third related field is sociology. Sociology examines how social factors such as family, peer groups, and cultural background influence learning behavior and educational outcomes. Pedagogical psychology integrates this understanding to create more inclusive and socially aware teaching practices. It helps educators recognize the impact of social environment on student motivation, cooperation, and classroom communication. Finally, physiology provides a biological foundation for understanding learning and behavior. Processes such as brain development, sensory perception, and neural activity play a crucial role in learning efficiency, attention, and memory. Pedagogical psychology draws on psychological knowledge to determine optimal learning conditions, provide fatigue, and promote healthy development in children and adolescents.
So, according to Ananiev, educational psychology, or it is also called as pedagogical psychology, is a borderline complex branch of knowledge which has taken a certain place between psychology and pedagogy and has become a sphere of joint study of the relationship between the upbringing, training, and development of younger generations. In connection with this borderline nature of pedagogy and psychology, we consider it necessary, first of all, to clarify the relationship between these two sciences. Psychology is organically connected with pedagogy. Between them, there are several nodes of communication. The main communication center is the subject of these sciences. Psychology studies the laws of the development of the human psyche, while the pedagogy develops the laws of personal development management. Upbringing, education of children and adults is nothing other than a purposeful change in its psyche, for example, thinking activity, memory, perception. Therefore, they cannot be carried out by specialists who do not possess a psychological knowledge. So, the second node of communication of two sciences, indicators and criteria for learning and education of individual. The degree of advanced knowledge of school children is recorded by any changes in memory, knowledge, reserves, ability to use those knowledges for some practical purposes. Possessions of cognitive activities, techniques, speed of knowledge reproduction, possession of terminology, skills of transferring knowledge to some non-standard situations. Thank you very much for your attention.